The joy of being seen, heard, and valued at every age. Have you ever walked into a room and felt like no one really saw you? Not just looked at you, but truly saw you. It's a strange kind of loneliness, isn't it? Being surrounded by people, even family, yet somehow feeling invisible. Like your stories don't matter as much anymore. Like your thoughts are brushed aside with a smile, and that's just how things were back then. If you felt that, let me tell you, you are not alone. And more importantly, you're not wrong for wanting more. There is no age limit on the need to feel valued. It doesn't vanish when we blow out the candles on our 60th, 70th, or even 80th birthday cake. That desire, to be heard, to be respected, to be appreciated for the full and complex human being we are, that stays. It runs deep. And it's still completely valid. Because here's the truth no one says loud enough: you still matter. Your voice still matters. And the joy that comes from being seen, heard, and truly valued, it's not something reserved for the young. It's something that belongs to you, right now, just as you are. Sometimes the world makes it harder, though, doesn't it? When technology races ahead. When conversations pass you by. When decisions about your life are made without really asking you. There's a quiet message hiding in all that noise: step aside. You've had your time. But we both know better. Your time isn't over. It's just changed. And maybe that's where we start this conversation, right here, with this truth: you don't have to earn your right to be respected. You don't have to shrink, stay silent, or play small just to avoid being seen as a burden. In fact, I want to ask you something. When was the last time someone really listened to your story, not to fix it, not to rush you along, but just to hold space for what you had to say? When was the last time you told a memory and someone looked at you like it was treasure? It may have been a while. But that joy? That sense of being heard and understood? It's still possible. And sometimes, it begins with one small shift, choosing to value yourself, even if others forget to. Let's talk about what that actually looks like, because this isn't just a nice idea. It's something you can feel, day by day, choice by choice. It starts with how you carry your story. You've lived through heartbreak and healing, losses and leaps of faith. You've probably stood by others when they were too broken to stand alone. Those things don't just fade into the past. They shape you. And they deserve to be honored, not buried. So when you speak, speak with the weight of your wisdom. When you walk into a room, walk like your presence adds something, because it does. You don't have to prove your worth. You've already lived it. The second shift is this: ask for what you need. I know that sounds simple. But for many of us, especially as we get older, asking can feel like inconveniencing someone. As if needing support makes us less strong. But the truth? Knowing what you need and asking for it, that's strength. That's clarity. And it invites deeper, more honest relationships. Whether it's asking a friend to slow down the conversation so you can keep up, or telling your children that you'd love a little more time together, it's okay to say it. You deserve to be heard, not just accommodated. And if the people in your life struggle to hear you, that doesn't mean your needs are too much. It might mean they need to learn how to listen better. And here's something else: sometimes, the world around us starts to mirror the way we treat ourselves. So when you speak up with confidence, when you set boundaries with grace, when you remind yourself daily that your voice is still powerful, others begin to catch on. They start to see you the way you see yourself. I know it's not always easy. There might be times when you feel dismissed or overlooked. And it stings. But that doesn't mean you disappear. It means you get even clearer about who you are. You don't have to raise your voice to be heard. You just have to speak from the place that remembers, I am not done. I still matter. And you know what? There's a certain magic in people our age. We've seen enough to recognize what matters, and we're not here for the fluff anymore. We're here for truth. For kindness. For real connection. That's the kind of presence that changes a room. You don't need to chase attention or compete with anyone. Your calm wisdom already carries weight. The world needs that more than ever right now. Steady hearts. Soft strength. People who know how to listen and how to speak with care. So whether you're in a conversation with a doctor, at a family gathering, or chatting with a stranger at the coffee shop, remember, you bring something rare. Your lived experience is gold. Your story might be exactly what someone else needs to hear. And if they don't see it yet, that's okay. Because you do. And that's where the joy begins, not just in being noticed by others, but in refusing to forget your own worth. Now that we're standing on that foundation of self-respect, of inner knowing, let's keep going. One of the most beautiful things about aging is that we finally begin to realize we don't need to impress anyone anymore. We don't have to keep up with trends, or pretend we're okay when we're not, or smile just to keep the peace. We've done that already. And now? Now, it's about living honestly. Deeply. Fully. And that kind of life begins when we stop trying to be who we think others want, and start showing up exactly as we are. There's power in showing up as yourself. It's quiet, but it's steady. And it tells the world, I'm still here. I still have something to say. That doesn't mean you always have to speak up in loud rooms or fight to be heard. Sometimes, it simply means holding eye contact a little longer. Or saying, actually, I don't agree with that when someone dismisses your view. Or even just sitting still, knowing you don't have to prove a single thing. You've earned your space. And yet, I know there are days when it doesn't feel that way. Days when your voice feels small. When younger folks talk over you. When you feel like a background character in your own family. That can cut deep. But even in those moments, especially in those moments, you have a choice. You can either shrink to fit the silence. Or you can gently, firmly take your place back. Taking your place doesn't have to be confrontational. Sometimes it's just saying, I'd like to finish what I was saying. Or, that reminds me of something from when I was younger, and letting the story unfold. People don't always mean to ignore us. Sometimes, they're just moving too fast. Sometimes, they've forgotten how to slow down and listen. And that's where we can be the reminder. Because people forget, until we remind them, that age doesn't make someone irrelevant. If anything, it makes them more relevant. Because who better to speak about life, love, loss, and growth than someone who's lived it? You've got a lifetime of experience that no degree, no title, no job promotion could ever replace. You've sat at bedsides. You've comforted others in grief. You've made hard choices and lived through their consequences. You've fallen, gotten back up, and kept going even when no one was watching. That is strength. That is value. That is wisdom. And here's something I want you to remember. People may not always say it, but you inspire more than you know. When your grandchild sees how you take your morning walk even with aching joints, you're teaching them persistence. When your friend hears you laugh after a tough diagnosis, you're showing them what grace looks like. When you tell someone, I'm still learning, you're modeling humility, something the world could use more of. So don't underestimate how much you matter just by being you. And if there are people in your life who do make you feel small, who roll their eyes or change the subject when you speak, it's okay to create some space. You don't have to chase people who don't appreciate your presence. You can love from afar. You can choose kindness without sacrificing your self-respect. In fact, that's another quiet joy that comes with this stage of life, boundaries. We learn how to say no. Not with guilt, but with clarity. We learn how to say yes to things that nourish us, not drain us. And we learn that not everyone has to understand us for our voice to be valid. You don't need an audience. You just need authenticity. And that authenticity is a gift not only to you, but to everyone lucky enough to know you. Think about it. How many people in your life would feel more free, more real, more brave, just because you chose to live that way first? That's how being seen and heard works. It's not always about getting attention, it's about connection. It's about making space for your truth so that others feel safe sharing theirs. It's about setting the tone. And you, my friend, have that power. So, maybe the next time you sit with someone, family, friend, or even a stranger, try something small. Share a piece of your story. Ask about theirs. Really listen. And notice how, slowly, the walls come down. Because that's the secret. When you allow yourself to be fully you, it invites others to do the same. The world doesn't need us to be louder. It needs us to be real. To speak when something matters. To sit in silence when it doesn't. To offer comfort, not correction. To remind people, with our presence, that aging isn't fading. It's deepening. You have nothing to prove, but everything to offer. So as you go through your days, whether it's sipping coffee on the porch, joining a community group, or just picking up the phone to call someone you love, remember that your presence is enough. You don't need a spotlight to shine. You are the light. Let's hold on to that as we keep moving forward together. There's something deeply healing about being fully present in your own life. Not waiting for someone to hand you permission. Not hoping the world notices before you quietly fade into the background. But choosing, with intention, to stand in your own worth. To say, I may not be in my 20s anymore, but I still have dreams. I still have stories. I still deserve to be seen. And you do. Maybe you're thinking, it's too late to change things now. But let me tell you, some of the most powerful moments in life don't come at the beginning. They come after we've lived. After we've learned what really matters. After we've loved and lost and found our way back to ourselves again. You see, being valued doesn't always mean being celebrated. It means being understood. Being respected. Being given the space to show up, as you are, with nothing to hide and nothing to prove. That space starts within. The more you value yourself, the more the world starts to reflect that value back. So ask yourself gently, how often do I speak to myself with kindness? Do I talk to myself like someone worth loving? Do I pause to honor my own feelings, my own limits, my own joys? Because when you treat yourself like someone who matters, something amazing happens. You stop waiting for the world to validate you. And you start creating your own peace. And that peace? It's powerful. It changes how you walk into a room. You no longer worry if others see you. You see yourself. You carry your stories with pride. You speak with the quiet confidence of someone who knows who they are and isn't afraid to be that person fully. Think about this. When you walk into a room with your head held high, your presence speaks before your voice ever does. People notice. Not because you're loud, but because you're grounded. You're real. And in a world full of noise, real is rare. Real stands out. And that's the kind of presence that changes lives, not just your own, but the people around you. Maybe your family starts listening a little closer. Maybe your friends start opening up in ways they never dared before. Maybe a stranger sees your courage and finds the strength to speak their truth. It ripples out. You don't need to lead a movement to make an impact. Sometimes the quiet way you carry your story is what gives others permission to carry theirs. So don't underestimate what your life says without even speaking. You've shown up through the hard seasons. You've kept going when no one clapped for you. You figured things out again and again, even when it felt like everything was falling apart. That resilience? That quiet fire inside you? That is something to honor. That is something to share. And maybe that's the final piece of this joy we've been talking about. The deep joy of being seen, heard, and valued isn't something we wait for. It's something we create. We create it by showing up as we are. We create it by choosing our words with care, but never with apology. We create it by making room for others while still holding space for ourselves. We create it by being the kind of person we once needed. And now, someone else might need too. You are not too old. You are not too late. You are not invisible. You are a masterpiece in progress. And you still get to decide how your story unfolds. So take the walk. Call the friend. Join the book club. Wear the outfit that makes you feel bold. Share the story that's been sitting on your heart. Laugh loudly. Cry when you need to. Say yes when something feels right, and say no when your soul says stop. Because this is your life. Still full of color. Still full of meaning. Still worth living out loud. If no one's told you lately, you are needed. Your presence makes a difference. You being here, in this moment, matters more than you know. So go ahead. Speak your truth. Let your wisdom shine. Show the world that being over 60 doesn't mean fading, it means flourishing. And if you're watching this and nodding quietly, feeling a little fire in your heart, let that fire grow. Share this with someone you care about. Let them feel this truth, too. And if this message touched something in you, let me know in the comments. Your story, your voice, it belongs here. Don't forget to like this video if it spoke to you, and subscribe if you want more gentle reminders that this season of life is just as beautiful, just as powerful, as any that came before. Here's to living with presence. With pride. With purpose. Here's to being seen. Heard. And deeply, undeniably valued. At every age. You are not just part of the story. You are the story. And it's still being written.